Now we're going to be collecting our cattails. These grow in wet places and ditches alongside roads and alongside ponds and lakes. They don't necessarily grow in water, but they like wet places to grow. They grow very tall, as you can see. Some of these are over my head, and they are easily recognized because they have a hot dog on top. This is the seed head, and when the seed head dries, it becomes fluffy and the seeds blow all over the place. So if you're collecting them and you're going to be drying them in your house, I suggest you don't bring in the seed heads, or you might have a house full of lovely cattail fluff. Now, to collect them or to gather them, I usually use these cutters. Sometimes they're quite thick at the bottom. The thicker ones are the longer ones usually, and sometimes if you're depending what you're using, sometimes it's nice to have the longer ones. You have a longer rush to use. They are sort of a poor man's rush. They're much more easy to gather and to collect and find, but they're not as useful as a rush. They have a flat blade, and when the flat blade dies back and then it's dried, it's quite thin, whereas a rush is quite pulpy and fat. It's a stalk. Now I'm just going to get down here, and I just get my clippers and I nip them off. No, I didn't quite nip them off. There we are. And I usually just nip off quite a lot. These are quite thick actually. Off we go. There we are. And I usually go in, and I like the long nice ones. So I'm going to try and get the nice long nice ones. There we are. Now when we collect them and take them in to dry, sometimes you just dry them as stalks like this, or sometimes you can just divide them and pull them apart, because you're going to have to divide them anyway. If you pull them apart before you dry them, they dry much more quickly, and of course you don't have to do it later. Well, there we are, I'm just pulling this one off. It makes them quite a lot longer when you dry them. Pull them off like this, and then they're ready to dry. If I had a stalk on this, I would throw the stalk away, because I don't really want it. I want that bit. There we are. So now I'm going to do that with the rest of my bunch, and I'm going to collect them and pile them up like I did when I had collecting the rushes. We'll put them in the sheet here, and I'll collect them. There they are. We'll put them all in there and take them home and dry them. They don't dry they dry quickly really when they're like this, much more slowly when they're all together. And then I'll just bunch them up, put them in a nice stack, and keep them in a dry place until I want them. And now the same way with the rushes, when I want to use them, I don't soak them. I wrap them up in probably the same sheet, hose them down, make them nice and wet, and then I'll do that the night before I use them. If I don't use them, I suddenly find I'm going to do something else, I can re-dry them. Anything that's left after your project, you want to re-dry. Anything more than about 2 days wrapped up, particularly in warm weather, they'll get very nasty and smell. So remember that, and just pop them somewhere, let them dry, and then use them another time.